Welcome everybody to the WCA Pro Qualifier for Europe. Sorry for the quick delay that we had there, but even casters need food every now and then, and the catering just arrived. So now that we are like in full strength and once again ready for our next game, we're going to jump into the best of 3 series that we have in the winners match between Fnatic and their opponent NaVi. And of course, we are already going into the draft. The draft is live, and we are seeing Black Hearts Bay here, a map where traditionally Fnatic is very strong at. But then again, they changed nearly their entire lineup. And of course, they also took 2 players or 2 members of the former Fnatic NaVi team. And therefore, it's a little bit of a grudge match.
Yep, it is a grudge match. We spoke to some of the NaVi players beforehand, and they seemed very enthusiastic about beating their former members. And like you said, Fnatic taking the tank player from NaVi and also stealing their coach as one of their new players. For now, though, drafts Johanna banned, Zeratul banned, very standard, and the theme we've been seeing a lot, the first pick, Illidan.
Immediately Lowell saying, all right, let's lock down my hero, give me the Illidan, and I'm going to carry us here. NaVi, of course, they respond in kind. They take the Abathur away. Very important in the situation that you don't let Illidan plus Abathur go through. It has been one of the constant themes throughout the entire tournament. But at the same time, they are, of course, claiming the Jaina. A very important pick here, early game pressure that you have, a lot of damage that you can get in, and also the control. You don't have to wait for that level 16 power spike that Kel'Thas has. Jaina is good right from the start, and we are seeing Fnatic respond immediately.
Yeah, Fnatic picking up the Zagara very quickly, and the Anub'arak, the double bug squad, just for that nice lane push with the Beetles and Roaches, Hydras, Banelings, everything that will push up a lane. And also due to the fact that, well, all of those things do block Jaina's Frostbolt. So it's one less ability they have to deal with in a fight, and the Abathur Spike.
And another thing, of course, that you can use in this map in particular is the pushing power of Zagara at the bot lane. Normally, that's where we are seeing Zagara trying to just really leave an impact, claim the chest, the first 5 coins, whereas the rest of the team is focusing more up to the top. And again, Anub'arak, also a great hero if you want to initiate together with Illidan. It's always nice to have a companion jumping with you into battle, and for Illidan, this is going to be Anub'arak in this series. NaVi, then again, at this point, they are going for the next ban here. And currently looking at the setup that we're seeing for their opponent, they could just simply head into a ban on one of the healers. And that's exactly what they do. They ban out the Uther, saying, all right, listen up, we don't want you with a Divine Shield on the melee assassin. We ourselves might even pick up the Rhaegar, and then you are left with Malfurion, who's still good, but who is just not able to give Illidan that burst support. Could head into even a Malfurion themselves and leave the Rhaegar to Illidan, but Rhaegar, of course,
as we did see last game.
I doubt that with an Abathur.
Yeah, very true. Double support would leave them with Jaina as their only damage dealer, and then whatever warrior they are left after Fnatic would, if you're in that situation, probably pick up a second warrior so they have a bit more sustain. But yeah, like you said, NaVi more than likely to only pick up the Rhaegar here to deny the burst heal and just more go into the push into the sustain heal and hope they can kill Illidan quick enough.
At this time, actually, we have also a Muradin banned out as a counterplay. There's the Rhaegar as expected, so that leaves for now Malfurion for Fnatic. And of course, then that Illidan doesn't really have that support anymore that he had before, and that means he doesn't have the Ancestral Healing, doesn't have the Divine Shield, and those burst heals are really important when you're running a melee assassin and try to go into one of these battles. Illidan himself, by the way, is great on Black Hearts Bay since you can just gather up so many coins with him.
Yeah.
Simply taking down the camps on the map.
He waits until 50 seconds, fights for the chest with his team, and then waits until 2 minutes, and then disappears and doesn't come back until he has 10 coins, and then goes for the turn-in on his own.
Exactly. So at this point, we're having the second pick coming into play, and this is a Tyrael. There's, of course, not too much left on the board. Tyrael was one of the options. Another option would have been Arthur's, but Tyrael, very good here. The Malfurion immediately locked down. That was a no-brainer at this point. And Fnatic, what are they going to complement their draft with? Are they going to go into another range assassin, which we could definitely see? Is it going to be more of a utility pick? We could see them head into a Tassadar, for example, if they feel that Illidan needs a bit more support and cannot rely only on his own Malfurion in this case.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Tassadars today in these situations where Illidan feels like he needs a bit more protection. And with the potential judgment from NaVi, Illidan could in theory burst down, and so could Malfurion. So anyone who can keep Illidan alive once that healer's gone, or once the initial burst has come down, is going to be very beneficial for Fnatic. But like you said, they also have the potential of some more damage, because currently Zagara is nice damage, but once those Hunter Killers are gone, it's all reliant on her auto attacks, and Jaina will be able to shut her down in that sense. So maybe a little something extra. Kel'Thas still in the open, for example. might work more in their favor.
Nazeebo is also another choice that they could go for here. There's still quite a lot of damage on the board up for the taking, so they have to make this decision. If they go into a Kel'Thas, they have more sustain on Illidan. They also have a bit of damage with the Archon and Storm, but if you compare that, of course, to the damage output of a Kel'Thas, of a Nazeebo, then you will just see that Tassadar falls short just a bit on that side. And again, if they pick a Tassadar here, another benefit that they have from it is that the opponent cannot take him to reveal those tumors of Zagara. Looking at the lineup that we're having on the side of Fnatic, on the other hand, it's a bit unlikely. And they go into the power push combo with Sylvanas and Zagara here.
Yep, and I do very much like this. They're against an Abathur who's going to be split pushing the XP and getting those lanes a little bit pushed up. So who better than to just quickly run up to a lane, clear it quicker than anyone else in the game, and then run back down to help the team and still be very influential and do a lot of damage in the team fights than Sylvanas. And with that silence, a very ability-based team currently coming out of Na'Vi, so that Waiting Arrow could be huge in these team fights.
Yeah, Sylvanas not really bringing the same amount of damage to the board like one of those mage heroes that we talked about earlier, but she has very nice pushing power. She has that sustain there as well, and as already mentioned by Tetcha a second ago, this heroic ability in those team fights is absolutely invaluable, especially if you hit a perfect one against a hero like Rhaegar, won't be able to get his ancestral healing in, and all of a sudden we have Jaina just being completely helpless there with no support whatsoever. But somehow now Na'Vi has to kind of try and negate that, or at least counterplay it. And for their lineup in this case, they could go in.
No, I was just humming while I was thinking.
Okay.
Sorry to put you off.
I thought I missed something there. No, so
No.
we could see them with even a Falstad maybe. Falstad could combo, of course, his Hinterland Blast with the Tyrael's heroic ability, Judgment. Then we can also see him just like jump between the lanes and make sure that he uses his fly ability to help out at the bot lane, for example. It's a hero that we oftentimes see here. But yeah, they have a couple of choices. All of those damage dealers that we talked about earlier, of course, also on the board for them up to grab. So they could head into Nazeebo here if they decide that they don't need the additional sustain that, again, a Tassadar would bring them.
Yep, and they are going to go with the Valor, though. A bit more sustained damage, as you've said many times when Valor has been picked up. She's probably going for that Puncturing Arrow build due to the fact that there is an Illidan on the other side. So she needs to stay alive, most importantly. I would like to point out they did have the option of the melee assassin of their own. We've seen a couple melee assassins who have worked surprisingly well against the Illidan in this case. We've seen the Thrall come in. There is the potential for the Butcher there, but really, who do you go in on? And once they go in, there's going to be a Maw, and suddenly Butcher's going to be all on his own. So I think there's the Valor, a much safer choice coming in here for Na'Vi.
Definitely had some nice damage here for them, and of course Vala is also very flexible on the map and extremely fast, has a good escape that she can use if need be. And for now we're having both of the teams just with a very solid setup. That Abathur, of course, is one of the key elements that we are seeing in the lineup of Na'Vi. Keep in mind that this is a best of 3 series, so Blackheart Space only the first map that we are going to see today between these two teams, and the winner will go to Gamescom, will qualify. We already have Team Liquid and Alternate Fancy qualified for the tournament, for the offline tournament in Cologne, and this is definitely going to be a good one. And both of these teams that we're seeing right now in the game, of course, want to reach that, and the added spice between them because of that pick away from Breeze, who's now playing the tank role here on the side of Fnatic, is of course also pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, we do also have a... Well, the players are just running up very quickly here, but we have a little bit of cross-chat between the teams, which is very friendly. Just a little bit of smack talk, but we are getting into the game, and it is going to be game number 1 between Fnatic and Natus Vincere.
Yeah, so right now, of course, just like waiting for Blackheart Space to load up, and as mentioned before, the winner of this series has to win another game, or the winner of this match has to win another one. The loser in the series is going to go up against Kinguin, who was successful against Rocket with a very impressive 2-0. A bit of an unexpected 2-0 as well, running only a Tyrande in the last game as the only heal and support for the team, whereas we saw on the lineup of Rocket 2 healers. But now we're looking at Fnatic versus Na'Vi. We're going to jump into the game on Blackheart Bay, map number 1 between these two top European Heroes of the Storm teams. To the left side of the map, as you can see, we have Illidan, played by Lowell. Fnatic here with Mena and Sylvanas today. And Nubarag is played by Breeze, the former Na'Vi player. We're having Wooby, the former Na'Vi coach, on Malfurion, and Kasil on Zagara. To the right side of the map, it is Na'Vi themselves. They have Shrimpy on Abathur, Splendor on Rhaegar, Eternal on Jaina. JPL in this case is playing Vala, and Alex the Prodigy, a former player of Team Nihilum, now switching his role a bit and playing the tank here, replacing Breeze. He is playing Tyrael.
We do not have a talent pick out of Abathur again. Not the first time we have seen this from both teams. And there we go, finally going for the Locust talent. So split push Abathur it is. And I think that's probably quite a good choice for them here.
I really like this too. You can really make a lot happen, especially in the later stages of the game if you go for this in particular. And of course, the more structures you destroy without the help of the objectives, the more value you get out of the objectives later on. If you only kill structures by using the ghost ship, then the later turn-ins are going to become very expensive. Barb shot, by the way, the first talent taken on the side of Sylvanas, so the extra damage against minions and mercenaries.
I would like to draw your attention quickly, just outside of this game for a second, to the fact that we now have the stat of, in the WCA qualifiers for EU, Solo Tyrande has the highest win ratio in terms of supports.
1 game played and 1 game won. That's definitely true. And yeah, this is an interesting fact that we have there. So it was pretty cool to see that she was successful as a solo support here. I think it was one of the first times that it actually happened.
Oh, JPL getting focused down here. In comes reinforcement though. Tyrael Shield will allow Valor to back out there. Lowell turning onto Eternal and then Alex the Pro G, but he has no reinforcements of his own anymore and will be forced to back out.
Even though that bottom fight was a bit chaotic, in the end, it's still a complete even split between those coins. 5 coins for Fnatic, the other 5 for the opponent. Shrimpy very far out on the map, teasing Mana here already a bit, taking apparently a page out of the book of ADRD, who is using a very similar Avatar style these days. And in the mid lane, Wooby and Mana trying to get the pressure against the tower. It's of course so important to drop the tower to half health so that your first objective that you get, the first ghost ship, is going to take down the fort.
Yeah, need to get as much damage as they can. Right now, they've only really got rid of ammo. They haven't done too much damage, but lol. Waiting here, Alex the Prodigy trying to bait him out. He knows that there must be something here, and he was right to know so. Going to get some damage onto Mana here. Lol trying to do some damage as well, but the shields are just really high for Alex the Prodigy, and he is not under any danger at the moment.
One of the things that's also important to note is that at level 7 we are most likely going to see Abathur going into a mule, and we don't really have the potential for a mule on the side of Fnatic. They could of course choose to go into mule on Malfurion, but the chances for that to happen are very unlikely since Cleanse is on the same level, and if you're going up against a Tira that might go into Judgment, you kind of need your Cleanse ready. Yeah,
Cleanse is important. We've seen, like yesterday, we saw the Cleanses were on point when it came to Tyrael's Judgment. Pretty much like 80, maybe 75% of them were cleansed, and that is pretty impressive. So, Cleanse incredibly useful in those fights. Rhaegar, once again, going... Oh no, he's going for the Feral Heart.
Yeah, Rhaegar in this case going for Feral Heart, even though he picked the Spirit Walker's Grace on level 1 for the reduced mana on Chain Heal. So he's going for a very sustainable build. He basically will never have to go back to the Fountain if he plays this right.
Yeah, this is very true. Like, look at him. He's at full mana already, and he's getting his health back. He's going to go right now, and with the help of Abathur, Rhaegar's actually not terrible at taking mercenaries. He could do an easy camp right now if Abathur stayed on his head. Looks like he may be trying to do that, and yes, he is going for that. Well, that means JPL can just stay in lane here. And once Splender's done with this, he can just go into lane and heal JPL up.
Rhaegar can basically do a hard camp on his own, a bruiser camp, but of course it's not the most efficient. If you have an Abathur on the other hand that helps you out with it a little bit, then it's a lot easier and also a lot faster, which is the main factor. Oftentimes when you think about Sylvanas, for example, she can easily do a siege giant camp alone. The problem is it takes her a long time, so it's not really worth it doing it alone. But if you have a bit of help, that's all that you need.
Yeah, Eternal was coming in there as the coins were just lying on the ground, but Lol comes in and picks all of them up. His team currently has 8 coins in their possession and 8 coins turned in. Both teams have easily enough return in, but they both want to get that kind of building damage down so that, like you said, the first few shots will take down the fort.
7 coins on the side of Lowell. Both of the teams are mainly for those, but at the top lane, just look at that. One of the towers already down, the second one about to fall, as is the gate. Every structure that you take down of your opponent is going to give you a very good position later on. The turn-in, on the other hand, goes now to their opponents. It is NaVi with the first ghost ship of the game.
And like you said, we are going for the cleanse on level 7 from the Malfurion. And Illidan, sticking with the theme here, is once again going for the thrill of battle, and that could mean a hunt, but as we saw last time, it could just mean more metamorphosis.
I actually talked to Lowell a bit about his choice here on Thrill of Battle, and he said that what we've been saying in the last game, that first of all, it reduces the cooldown, so you are not that bottleneck character, which will have the heroic ability not ready, while everybody else is still in position to go for another team fight. That's one of the benefits that we really have from this build. But another one is also that against a Jaina, if you go for Thrill of Battle and use this in the team fights, that you will just get that second evasion shield out. And with a level 13 talent, this is extremely important. And in his opinion, even gives you a bit more survivability than using First Aid, which is of course a great talent to take here. But it all comes down to that level 13 talent and the Shadow Shield itself.
That makes a lot of sense. That is very cool. LoL, just such a good player and such a clever player. For now, though, both teams pretty much just farming up mercenaries and gold where they can and clearing waves where they need to.
Now we again have also on the side of Tyrell, of course, the battle momentum. Here comes the turn that we've been talking about. So far, no pressure on those two towers, so the fort is going to survive. And we see the mule that I've been talking about earlier. Fnatic has to move into the mid lane and do some damage, and that's exactly what they're currently trying to do.
Yep, some of the shots were still fired there, so that tower still wasted a shot. And, like you said, that fort isn't going to go down. We will see the mule and Abathur even just jumping onto it and then jumping off so that he can just reset his shield as quick as possible to block as many of them as possible. He can probably jump back on to block one more, but not going to bother. And we will see the mule drop down there the second it is available. Axel Pro G just holding his best. Lol and Wubby going to be taking this boss on their own here. And right now, NaVi have no idea.
It's a pretty ballsy move, though, if you have 10 coins. If you get ganked at the wrong time, then you are going to die there. But then again, we have the vision, thanks to the Watchtower, and Main moving into the mid lane together with Breeze. But it's very unlikely that NaVi is going to see what's coming, because they think that all that Fnatic tries to do right now is drop this fort.
Yep, the mule will heal that up, though, but it's not going to protect the top lane for when that boss comes barreling through it, and that's going to do a lot of damage. There we go. Now NaVi are aware, and they know they are in trouble. We see Jaina and Tyrell instantly rotating up to this mid lane and then through that to the top lane. I'd also like to point out that NaVi, for when they do fight, they do have one of the best damage combos in the game in the form of the ultimate evolution onto the Jaina, where you get that double frostbitten, that double chill. So everyone basically takes bonus damage from both Jainas.
It's definitely like a lot of damage that you can dish out with this. This is a free turn, by the way, that we're seeing for Fnatic now, and that's their second one. Finally going to take down that fort up in the mid lane. But at the top lane, another one is going to fall now, since this boss, of course, has been doing quite a bit of work already. And to the bot lane, Fnatic just simply stealing one of the camps away.
Yeah, Fnatic all over the map right now, just taking as much control as they can, trying to deal with... And NaVi are pretty much stuck trying to deal with this. And a few of the cannon shots there from that last Fnatic turn-in, even firing onto the bot lane there. And going to take down the tower and the fountain.
Yeah, every single structure that you take down, of course, counts. And currently Fnatic already in the lead in experience, thanks to all those moves on the map. They also have another turn-in available. Well, yeah, actually they have 14 now, after they finish the last bruiser camp. They could turn in again. Abathur is all the way up at the top, by the way.
Yep, Abathur is up at the top, soaking as much XP as he can. And he's trying to stay in any kind of bushes, but right now just sitting completely out in the open, and Nubrak is pushing in. But there is a bruiser camp there pushing up the lane, which will keep Nubrak away from him. Here comes Jaina, Tyrael, and Rhaegar, though. Breeze will back out of here, not willing to fight, even though they're just here for the coins and the wave clear.
They, of course, know exactly where they are right now. NaVi showed themselves, and that means that Fnatic knows perfectly well that they can move into the middle of the map and just simply go for another turn-in, which is exactly what they're currently doing. They will get another completed turn-in. They're already moving down to the bot lane to make sure that they put extra pressure onto the structure here. The fort is going to go down. I think that's going to be one cannonball that they miss here, and that's already it. So the rest, yep, one cannonball, and the rest is going to hit the mid lane keep already.
Yep, in the meantime, though, we do see a bit of a revenge mission there by NaVi. They do take down the mid fort of Fnatic. And the top lane is under quite a bit of harassment because Abathur is chilling around here, and he does have the Bombard Strain talent on level 13. So his Locust now do siege.
Yeah, the Locust now with the ranged attack.
And the Locust micro.
Sorry?
Swippy with the Locust micro there against that easy camp.
Once again, so on level 16, we're going to see the Locust Brood. Up at the top, we have now the 4 heroes pushing the lane for Fnatic. The rest is currently moving down towards the turn-in point. And there we have another attempt at turn-in, maybe by NaVi. Not quite yet. They moved back. They have only 8 coins. And Fnatic is actually in a very good position. They are once again a level ahead of their opponent, and they are starting to rotate the map again. Just going back to the bot lane and trying to take the last camp of the map.
Yep, and there's going to be very little that NaVi can do to stop them. There's 2 minutes left until the next Fnatic Bruiser camp, and pretty much the exact same for the NaVi one. NaVi, though, are moving in to try and take this bottom chest. And Nubrak's already grabbed all of the top one. And the Shrimpy still continuing to split push here.
Yeah, continuing a split push, and with level 15 versus level 14, we see Fnatic roam the map again with an attempt to turn in once more. They have 11 coins that they would like to get rid of, but we have small camps starting towards left side. And that's exactly where we are seeing them once more collecting 2 more coins.
Yeah, and I would like to point out just the incredible creep spread of Zagara on this lower side of the map. There is no way that NaVi can get anywhere near this turning point without Fnatic knowing about it. And because of that, we're not seeing another player that they're just accumulating coins. They have 15 right now, and they want to turn them in, but Fnatic know everything that happens on this map right now.
The boss is down for another minute, by the way, and we are seeing Fnatic starting to close in on at level 16. And if they get this level in the extra talent, they can push in once more. We also had a bit of damage up here in the middle, of course, since the last barrage from the Ghost Ship did quite a bit of work. We have still the Mule available, though, and that's something that they can use. LOL is moving in here, and Shrimpy, realizing that the hero is starting to approach, is already hitting that B button.
In the meantime, there's just a lot of harassment over that turn. Oh, lol. Nope, too late. But there's a lot of harassment over by this turn-in. And finally, we see NaVi looking to have a little bit of control. Axe the Pro G and JPL trying to turn in. There is the Alpha clone onto Jaina, and that will easily be enough to drive back the team of Fnatic and give NaVi that turn-in they've been waiting for so long.
The attempt with a spike to take down the turn-in, interrupted at least by Nubarak, but Breeze was a bit too short on this one. Didn't want it to overextend too much, was taking a shot that didn't work out for him. And this, of course, is going to be the end of the top 4 tier. The bot lane also being pushed in, and now Fnatic with the level 16 talent could finally start to look for a fight. But we have Breeze and LOL currently in the mid lane, deep pushing this one. Whereas at the bottom, Alex the Pro G and Splendor are trying to retreat.
Yep, and they are going to be able to retreat, and they've just hit level 16 as well, so they want to group up with their team. But there comes the ambush from Breeze, LOL, and Wubby here onto Splendor. Ancestral does go down. He transforms into dog form, does have. That was a nice feral lunge to try and escape there onto the web blast, but it's not enough. He does go down, even with Abathur on his head. And NaVi, that was first blood? Thank you, announcer. That was okay. That's been a passive game.
This is exactly the style that Fnatic likes to play on this map, trying to just like play around the opponent, gather the coins. This is why they love to play Illidan on this map and only take the fights that they really need. And you can really tell that even without them winning any battles, they were able to do so much work already that they are now dropping a keep simply with the turn-ins. And this is, of course, a great position for them. Taking the boss alone in the early game was already a huge factor in their favor, and now he's up again, up for grabs.
Yeah, boss is available, and Fnatic have full control over this top part of the map because Rhaegar is still down low. Going in on his own. Malfurion just going to roll in there now and start helping him out. He does have that increased damage to mercenaries and minions on his Moonfire, so he can help kill that off a little bit quicker. Rhaegar is now alive, heading up to join his team in case they want to try and contest this. They are about to be even on levels again, so if they want to contest this, they better make it quick.
Yeah, LOL's thrill of battle is really helping him out quite a bit with this, but I think at this point NaVi doesn't even know what's going on. They might suspect, but they don't really know. We have a 4 versus 5. Now they're probably wondering, where is Illidan? And they double check. Illidan is moving in. He abandons it. He just abandons the boss and goes in the maw already in the backline. We have the strafe being used, and Alex the Pro G is about to die. He's already dead. And there we have the kill against Jaina. And also the copy is down as JPL on his Vala is trying desperately to get away from Illidan, but there's just no way. LOL mercilessly moving in, taking him down, and now trying to maybe even flank Splendor. They're going for the core. They're just going for the core. They're saying like, guys, this is it. We can take it now. There's only Rhaegar left and Abathur.
Rhaegar and Abathur, only ones left alive, and there's nothing Abathur can do. He may be able to mule this core, but with Rhaegar is not enough damage to take down Illidan or anyone here. He's trying his best. Abathur is on the core as well, trying to shield and do as much damage as he can, but that is going to be it. That is GG. And Fnatic will take game number 1 and put themselves in the advantage. Apparently I was wrong. Rhaegar did take down one person at the very end there.
Well, as is, we have the game won by Fnatic. So, very solid game that they play here. Very dominant. And especially at the end, like 4 heroes trying to distract NaVi a bit. But at some point, NaVi was wondering, something's wrong here. Illidan is not here. There's no camps on the maps that he could be possibly taking, except for that boss. So, slowly Tyrell making his way over, having a look, and then Illidan realizing, all right, let's screw that. We have to team fight right now. They jump in and they take that team fight. And let's just say it turned out in their favor. They take the core. They win the game, and therefore now we have a 1-0 lead for Fnatic. And well, we see NaVi in a bit of a dire spot here. They need to somehow win 2 maps in a row right now. We're going to be back with a second game in just a second. The teams we are going to set up the draft, and once they are ready, we're going to jump into game number 2. So guys, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a minute or two with the second game between Fnatic and NaVi here at the winners match at the WCA EU Pro Qualifier.